What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another early morning video where we are going to talk about a Saudi bid for Nico Gonzalez that might actually blow our incoming transfer window open. And the interesting part is, for once, when there's news about a Saudi bid, and this is for now, basically, the money is good and the player is not shutting it down. Because usually when a Saudi club comes in for any of our players, it's on a very low fee where the club is like, yeah, it's pointless. Or the player's like, I'm not going to do it. You know, look at Vlahovic and in the past other players as well. So that is the big news. There are updates on Alberto Costa as well, which we're going to talk about, and maybe a little bit of Conceição. But the main thing is there is a Saudi interest from Ahli, I think it is. I think I pronounced it Ahli. If I messed it up, I'm sorry. And they're willing to pay the money that we need to not make a loss on it. Like, technically you're losing money, but still, you know, not make a loss on the books. But before we get into it, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about this bit. Okay, so the news came from Giovanni Albanese, and the moment I saw that, I was like, yeah, no, because you told me that Conceição was not going to be paid 30 million, and here we are paying 30 million for Conceição. So I cannot take that seriously. So I brushed it aside, and then more and more news came out, you know, from other outlets as well. Gazzetta dello Sport, Corriere dello Sport, La Stampa, all suggesting that there is genuine interest. You know, there's no real offer, but there is real interest, potentially, you know. And that is already a beginning. But what's interesting is that all these outlets are reporting the same thing, that we need 30 million to not make a loss on the books. Like, technically, you're losing money because we paid more for him. You're not making a profit. But on the books, we need around 30 million to keep it, you know, to call it a day and recoup that part of the money. And they're willing to pay that. That's a part. I need to see that before I believe it. I'm not going to lie. I need to see even a Saudi club paying 30 million euros for Nico Gonzalez if they watched Nico Gonzalez play last season. You know, I actually need to see it before I believe it. But that's the good news. If they pay 30 million, good. But that's not always the problem. Maybe that's one of the problems. We need the money from the Saudi clubs. Even if we were trying to offload players that are not, you know, have not massive worth, still, you need the money. The big part and the big issue is the player. Does he want to go to the Saudi league? Well, according to the same reports, he's open to joining the Saudi league because he will get a good salary, like a good wage. It is what it is. It's double-digit wages, apparently. So I don't know if it's 15, 10, 11. We don't know. But that's the offer, and it's about 3 to 4 year, the length of the contract. So that's a lot of money for Nico Gonzalez. Who knows he's not part of it right now? Who knows he's struggling? Who knows he's been asked to do things that he's not going to do well, and it's a World Cup year. Does the Argentinian team don't they look at the Saudi league? I have no idea. You know, to be honest, I think they will. If I'm a national coach, if you're a good player, you're a good player. That's how I view it. But this is massive if it's actually true. And if it's true, it needs to happen ASAP. I know the Saudi league can do transfers. I think, if I'm not mistaken, mid-September. I could be wrong. But they can do transfers longer than the European transfer market. That is not a good thing because you don't know certain, like, you can hope they buy him in September, but you cannot really spend that money. Can you take the risk to spend that money and then they're not buying him, or Nico's like, I'm not doing it? You can not take that risk. So that is the downside of this story, because if Nico Gonzalez tomorrow is sold to the Saudi, it opens up perspectives for the club because you have a slot free in the squad and you have the money free. That is big. That is the thing right now. Yes, we can have talks and etc. But like I said in my many videos, it's the second week of July, the third week of July, actually. It's the third week of July, and we're moving extremely slow. We're on pace to, actually, the club is moving like they promised us to move. Make 2-3 targeted signings and convince the other players they're good enough to win. They're on pace to do that. But as a fan's perspective, we're all hoping we're going to do more. And with 2 weeks already gone, and in week 3, I think nobody believes we're going to do what all the fans hope we're going to do, you know, and we're actually going to do what the club told us. 2-3 targeted signings and convincing these players are good enough. So things need to move fast, really fast. But the Nico Gonzalez thing is real. The interest is real. Now it's just hoping, waiting, an offer comes in, and he obviously needs to accept that. If he doesn't accept that, I cannot blame him because, again, at the end of the day, if you don't want to go to play in the Saudi league and if you think you can still play in Europe, that's your thing. Like, it's not my thing to say, go play in the Saudi league. If he thinks I can go elsewhere, then go elsewhere, I guess. But that's the only option he has right now, potential option he has. So definitely worthy to keep an eye on, especially because it's of great interest for us as a club in general, you know. Let's move on to the Alberto Costa one really quickly, because that story is going all over the place. Like, it's literally going all over the place, and it's not making a lot of sense. Not to say it's making 0 sense, because it was all about 20 million, 80 million, and now all the reports came out saying actually Sporting offered 30 million, what we kind of paid for Alberto Costa, plus 10%, and Juve won 50 million fee right now plus a percentage. So Sporting are offering us what we pay for him, and maybe if they ever sell him, 10% of that. And the club is like, no, we want 50 million now, so a little bit more than we pay for him, and a percentage on the future resale. So it's not closed. He's open to joining, going back to the Portuguese league. He already told Sporting and Juve, I'm fine with doing that. You know, he's not really pushing for a move, but he's like, if you're selling me, I will go to Sporting, no issue. There are rumors out there from Portuguese outlet that Tudor blocked the thing. That's not how it works at this club, sadly enough. If a coach wants a player, he doesn't have the power to block it. Like, that's not how we operate, because we have we want a structure in place. We don't have an Arsene Wenger who's in control of everything. We don't have that situation at the club, coach, manager. So that was never going to be the case. The issue is, or the thing is, like, we're haggling about pennies right here, like real pennies, and we're going to spend more money to replace him. I hope we're going to replace him, right? We should be replacing him. Otherwise, like, what is the point? What actually are we trying to do? And that adds more work to the to-do list when the time is ticking and we are moving extremely slow. Like the Conceição thing, at the end, we're paying the money only in installments. Did that take over a month to agree with Porto to pay in installments? Or were the journalists all wrong? Every single journalist on this planet was wrong that we were asking Porto to lower their demands. Conceição lowered his demands. Was that all bullshit for the club to mask we want to pay in installments? Obviously not. Obviously not. Like, some might have been wrong about the Conceição thing. The club probably would have lowered the deal. Probably not as much. Porto were not offering as much of a discount as we wanted. So we said, you know what, let's pay it in installments, and it might be potentially better on the books. What do I know? You know, I'm not a financial expert, but that's it. At the end of the day, we're paying what Porto won only over 3 years, apparently. And with the Alberto Costa one, it is. So we wasted a lot of time for, well, something the club actually basically agreed on a year ago. Like, the installments. I don't believe Porto was haggling 1 month over the payment of Conceição. I refuse to believe that. So something went wrong or anything. But the focus is Nico Gonzalez for now. If we get him out, it frees up a lot of money for the club and a big quote-unquote problem for the club. So in the comments, let me know if you actually believe that story. That's one. That's the most important thing. And would he take it? Would you accept the offer as well? Let me know. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will speak to you guys later tonight. Ciao.